Building a reliable tuner car is commendable, and in many cases, a good decision. The factory always leaves something on the table, and there are many outfits who are happy to help you unlock a car's potential. But just putting parts on a car won't get you on-tuned. For that, you need something that is a true reflection of your personality, something we don't see every day, something that is anything but the easy way out. So we end our season with the most unique build yet. Last week, we looked at a Miata with a V8, and all that really mattered was that the V8 under the hood wasn't another LS swap, even if, rationally, an LS is the right decision. This week, we end our season with something that most people wouldn't even think of turning into a race car, because performance parts for it just can't be bought off the rack. Everything has to be made custom.
Let me start this video by telling you how to properly submit a car to appear on tune. Step 1, build an awesome car. Yeah! Such as Adam's Cyclone. Step 2, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, where we post what cities we'll be in for filming. Step 3, email me and say, hey, I heard you were going to be in my town. Want to drive my Cyclone? Yes, I do. Tom's face is sheer terror. The thing is, when you're doing a project like this, like nobody makes the kind of parts it would take to really turn this into a race car. So it's a huge game of trial and error. He's been through, I don't know how many different setups, but let me tell you something. This one works.
I wanted to keep the basic fundamental V6 concept. I wanted to keep it inherently Cyclone. I did not want to do the typical LS V8, although it's very encouraging to do so with the technology out there with the LS motor. I wanted to keep it to its roots. But I wanted to enhance it so that it ran better than it did from the factory. I had a fascination for the Turbo 6, the GM Turbo 6 back in the 80s when a friend of mine introduced me to his Grand National. And then the Cyclone came out in 1991 and I was just mesmerized by it. I was fascinated by it. I drove 4x4s and modified off-road vehicles in the past, so it took an appreciation for trucks and combined that with the Grand National, and that was the allure, the appeal of the car. It couldn't haul anything but ass, but it was a good truck, yes.
Back then it was a straight up 0 to 60 car, like the Grand National. It was great at 0 to 60 and then it sort of had nothing else to offer. It was a terrible truck. I mean, yes, it had 4-wheel drive, but there was a sticker that came on this thing that said, do not put more than 500 pounds in the bed. It couldn't carry anything. But Adam was always into these things. So what he's done is build the craziest Cyclone imaginable. It's got a bored and stroked out aluminum engine. He's got the radiator in the back. He's got a giant turbo. It makes 500 of the wheels. Still got all-wheel drive. And of course, the biggest problem with the Cyclone was that it was an automatic, and this one is a stick.
It's important to note that modifying a truck and trying to turn it into a race car is extremely difficult. You can make a damn fast pig, but you can't turn a pig into a race car. You have a vehicle that's top heavy, it's nose heavy, it has no torsional rigidity. Trying to put a roll cage in it correctly, it's almost impossible to make this thing handle like a Corvette, but I'm trying to do it. I've moved the radiator to the rear of the vehicle to make room in the engine compartment for the large intercooler, which was necessary, but also shifted the weight to the rear of the vehicle so that I'm able to get more handling balance out of the car. It runs a precision turbo with a billet wheel. It runs a Holley EFI engine management system with self-tuning. Öhlins coilovers with Hyperco springs, custom chromoly tubular A-arms. Everything except for the major fabrication, the welding and the TIG welding I've done. But when it comes to fine fabrication, I leave that to a professional.
Getting one of these trucks to go around corners is not easy. Let's see what it does. Oh, look at that. The handling, I mean, considering what he started with, the handling is amazing. 315 square stance. The power delivery is just instant. You get a wide power band, but you also get that surging feel that you want with a turbo. And it's meant for this road. This is where they do the 341 challenge on Route 341 outside of Virginia City. Very dangerous hill climb. Amazing road though. Here we go. Oh, it's brilliant. This thing is so ridiculous with the wings and the 7 different colors of primer on the body. So mean.
I run time trials, SCCA time trials. We do hill climbs, the Virginia City Hill Climb, the Spectre 341 Challenge, we ran that. We're looking to possibly do the Silver State Classic. Typically I don't drive it around the street. For all those purist Cyclone lovers out there, the wing and the splitter does come off for street use. But for the racetrack, we need the added downforce for this aero brick because we have the radiator in the back and there's a giant reverse NACA duct back there which actually creates lift, and trucks themselves inherently create lift. So when we're going 120 miles an hour around the S's, we want to make sure we have adequate downforce pushing down on the tires. It's pretty brutal, it's pretty nasty. It's a different feel than an Evo. It's not like you got to wait for the torque to come on when the turbo comes on. This thing has massive torque. This is the sinister bastard child, you know.
And like a petulant son, its attitude is cranked to freaking 20. It's nuts in the best possible way, with just enough left from the original to keep its spirit alive, then fed steroids and acid until its head explodes like Hunter S. Thompson. But, as sometimes happens with this sort of madness, the Cyclone decided it had had enough and fired out a bolt, causing the coolant to exit stage left.
Doing some mounted shots going up the hill at speed, and we got a misting on the windshield here, followed by some steam up there. We pulled over and shut it down. Ignition fans are still running. I'd love to get out of the car and walk around, but I can't wear shoes to drive in, and I left my shoes in the van, so I'll just be here.
This actually happens more often than you'd think on Tuned, but if we can get the car going again and finish the shoot, it's all good. In this case, that couldn't happen, and we had to cut it a bit short. But with such an extreme build, failures are going to happen. Adam's Cyclone is way into uncharted waters, and you can consider me a durability tester. The good news is, we've caught up with Adam, and the Cyclone is fixed, with new headers, a bigger wastegate, and new fresh plugs for the coolant. Last we checked, it ran a 10.3 at 132 miles an hour in the quarter, and is ready for this year's 341 challenge. Hopefully, we'll be able to make it up there to see him on the hill.
I put the steering wheel on not perfectly straight, so let me stop and fix that. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, I need that's the thing, removable steering wheel. I want to make sure it goes back on straight.
We're looking to possibly do the Silver State Classic. I know.